Viral modern garden wall art ideas to transform your small outdoor space. In today's urban lifestyle, the challenge of designing outdoor spaces lies not in their abundance, but in their scarcity. As architects, we are constantly faced with the task of taking compact environments, tiny patios, narrow balconies, modest backyards, and infusing them with purpose, identity, and beauty. The key to this transformation lies in the intelligent use of vertical surfaces, and one of the most powerful tools at our disposal is the modern garden panel. These panels are not mere decorative additions, they are architectural devices that redefine spatial perception, manage privacy, and elevate atmosphere. When treated as both functional elements and works of art, they allow even the smallest outdoor space to feel expansive, curated, and alive. Imagine standing on a balcony surrounded by towering buildings. The sense of exposure is immediate. Eyes from neighboring windows, traffic noise, and the absence of separation diminish the intimacy of the space. Garden panels serve as what I like to call controlled boundaries. They are not walls in the traditional sense, rigid and oppressive, but porous layers that mediate between openness and enclosure. A laser-cut metal panel, for instance, with geometric or botanical motifs, offers visual screening while permitting the passage of light. This interplay creates a sense of privacy without sacrifice. The design becomes a dance of shadow and sunlight, with patterns shifting across the floor as the day progresses. Wooden panels, conversely, provide warmth and tactility. In compact outdoor spaces, the choice of material profoundly impacts how the environment is perceived. Metal speaks of modernity and precision, but wood whispers of nature, tradition, and comfort. Slatted timber panels frame greenery like art in a gallery, creating compositions where ivy climbs, leaves unfurl, and light filters through narrow gaps. Here, the architecture is not simply constructed, it is grown. These wooden divisions soften the sharpness of urban edges, aligning built form with the rhythm of the garden. But privacy and aesthetics are only part of the story. In spaces where ground area is a rare commodity, the vertical plane becomes the architect's canvas. Vertical garden panels transform otherwise inert walls into living tapestries. By layering planters, modular systems, and trellises, we invite nature to ascend. Herbs, succulents, and flowering plants find new homes above the ground, expanding the green footprint without enlarging the footprint of the site itself. This gesture not only maximizes functionality, but changes perception. Height replaces width, verticality supplants horizontality, and a small patio feels suddenly taller, more dimensional, more generous. When strategically placed, living walls become focal points. Consider the transformation of a blank concrete wall into a vertical ecosystem. Ferns spilling from pockets, blossoms interspersed with textured leaves, and the occasional scent of herbs brushing the evening air. The wall ceases to be boundary and instead becomes stage, backdrop, and artwork. And as seasons shift, so too does the palette of this living canvas, evolving with time and reminding us that architecture, when merged with nature, is never static. Yet panels are not limited to the cultivation of greenery. Increasingly, we see them adopted as standalone sculptural forms. A single panel, carefully crafted, possesses the gravitas of an outdoor sculpture. Abstract cutouts etched into corten steel, for example, create not only form, but performance, the play of shadow across stone or timber, altering the mood of the space with each passing hour. The material itself tells a story. Corten steel weathers, rusts, and patinas, embodying the philosophy of wabi-sabi, where imperfection and transience are celebrated as beauty. Contrast this with powder-coated aluminum, precise, sleek, resilient, ideal for those who embrace the permanence of modernity over the poetry of decay. Placement is key. A bold panel in a central location anchors the design, much like a painting anchors an interior living room. The outdoor space, once fragmented and undefined, finds focus and clarity. Around this focal point, furnishings and plantings orbit harmoniously. A courtyard, once ordinary, becomes a gallery. A balcony, once neglected, becomes a statement. The narrative deepens when light enters the equation. Panels fitted with integrated LED systems extend their impact into the night. The cutouts, previously content with daylight, awaken as illuminated patterns against the darkness. They glow like lanterns, casting shadows that ripple across paving stones, walls, and foliage. The garden transforms into theatre, an interplay of geometry and light, intimacy and drama. For the urban dweller, this serves a dual purpose: the beauty of an art installation and the practicality of ambient outdoor lighting, all without the intrusion of bulky fixtures or scattered lamps. Functionality, too, evolves with innovation. Panels no longer serve solely as barriers or ornaments, they become organizers of life. Contemporary designs integrate shelves for potted plants, hooks for tools, even foldable surfaces that morph into tables. A single vertical plane becomes kitchen garden, storage unit, and worktop, an efficient layering of uses for spaces where efficiency is paramount. The otherwise ignored wall transforms into a hub of living, working, and growing. Even as modernism favors crisp lines and industrial finishes, the human spirit craves connection to nature. Thus, motifs inspired by leaves, flowers, and flowing curves remain timeless. These organic shapes soften the rigidity of architecture, weaving built and natural together. They invite calmness, a reminder that gardens are not only visual, but emotional sanctuaries. For the small space gardener, these patterns strike balance, order tempered by nature, geometry balanced by life. The richness of a small space is often amplified through contrast. Materials juxtaposed, wood against steel, greenery against glass, offer depth and dynamism. A wooden backdrop enhances the sleekness of a metal trellis. Glass panels interspersed with climbing plants create both transparency and mystery. This layered approach ensures that even the most compact outdoor retreat feels dimensional and textured, rather than flat or monotonous. Ultimately, the garden panel is more than accessory. It is strategy, philosophy, and solution. In 2025, as sustainability and multifunctionality converge with artistic expression, panels are no longer optional embellishments. They are essentials. They represent the architect's ability to turn limitation into opportunity, compactness into richness. With careful selection and placement, they elevate balconies into sanctuaries, courtyards into galleries, and backyards into retreats. The essence of design, after all, is not size, but intention. And through the language of garden panels, intention becomes visible, tangible, and inhabitable. The success of compact outdoor design lies not simply in decoration, but in storytelling. Every choice, the cut of a pattern, the warmth of wood, the resilience of steel, contributes to the narrative of the space. A garden panel, at its core, is a storyteller's tool. It whispers privacy in a crowded city, sings of greenery where soil is scarce, and glows with art when daylight fades. In this, the architect finds not constraint, but canvas. And in this canvas lies the opportunity to create modern sanctuaries, sculpted not by square footage, but by imagination, precision, and vision. Designing small outdoor environments requires a different kind of discipline, one that goes beyond simply arranging plants and furniture. It requires a structured orchestration of space, material, and light so that every element has a role, every detail a reason. In the second stage of this narrative, let us go deeper into how garden panels can become the foundation for multi-layered experiences. How they act not just as surfaces, but as instruments for choreography, guiding movement, sightlines, and atmosphere. When one first steps into a compact courtyard or balcony, the eye instinctively searches for order. Without a defined structure, the space feels adrift, its boundaries unclear, its purpose unresolved. Garden panels provide that clarity. By defining edges, segmenting zones, and framing views, they give identity to areas that might otherwise dissolve into ambiguity. A single vertical element, properly scaled, can give weight to a small terrace, commanding presence without consuming precious square meters. This is architectural economy, achieving impact with minimal footprint. Consider the principle of rhythm. Just as in music, rhythm in design creates flow, continuity, and anticipation. A sequence of panels, each with variations in cutout pattern or material, establishes cadence. The human eye moves from one to the next, guided along a narrative path. The repetition offers harmony, while subtle differences introduce intrigue. A balcony lined with alternating wood and metal panels becomes more than partition. It becomes composition, where each panel is a note in a visual symphony. The second principle is perspective. In small outdoor spaces, depth is often lacking, making the environment feel compressed. Panels can manipulate perspective by drawing the eye forward or upward. A tall panel with vertical cutouts elongates the view, suggesting height beyond reality. Panels positioned at slight angles create a funnel effect, pulling the gaze inward and giving the illusion of distance. Even the orientation of slats, horizontal versus vertical, can alter perception. Horizontal lines widen while verticals extend, both serving as tools to reshape how space is experienced. Another essential aspect is integration. Garden panels should never feel like afterthoughts or accessories simply attached to a wall. They must be woven into the architecture of the space itself. This is where multifunctionality plays a critical role. Imagine a panel that doubles as a kitchen garden, with herbs arranged in neat modular boxes. By day, it perfumes the air and provides fresh harvest. By evening, it glows with integrated lighting, serving as both sustenance and spectacle. Or envision a panel that hides unsightly utilities while presenting itself as a canvas of botanical cutouts. Through integration, panels elevate utility into artistry. Lighting remains one of the most powerful companions to panel design. The dialogue between light and surface is what transforms static form into living experience. Backlit panels produce silhouettes, their designs projected like art onto the surrounding surfaces. Integrated strip lighting emphasizes edges, tracing geometry in the dark like glowing sketches. Uplights at the base of panels elongate shadows upward, dramatizing height and giving otherwise small structures monumental presence. In architecture, light is both material and mood. In panels, it is the element that awakens the soul of design after dusk. The emotional quality of space cannot be neglected. A small balcony may be no larger than a few square meters, but with the right panel, it can feel like an intimate sanctuary. Nature-inspired motifs, leaves, branches, waves, soften edges and calm the mind. Urban dwellers, confined to concrete environments, crave this softness. The garden panel becomes not merely a separator, but a mediator between human and nature, structure and fluidity. Its cutouts invite breezes, its textures invite touch, its shadows remind us of impermanence. Materiality continues to anchor the experience. Each material carries not only physical qualities, but cultural and emotional resonances. Steel projects modernity and permanence. Wood carries memory and craft. Glass introduces fragility and reflection, multiplying space by capturing sky and foliage. Mixed together, they create dialogue. A steel trellis backed by a wooden wall is a study in contrasts, cold precision warmed by organic grain. A glass panel overgrown with climbing plants embodies paradox, transparency entwined with opacity, fragility embraced by resilience. In these contrasts lies the richness that makes a small garden feel abundant. Sustainability, too, becomes paramount in the contemporary age. Panels made from reclaimed timber or recycled metals not only reduce environmental impact, but also infuse narrative into the design. A panel of weathered wood carries the story of its past life, whether as scaffolding, furniture, or ship plank. A corten steel screen patinas over time, its oxidation marking the passage of years, creating a living record of exposure and endurance. In this way, panels are not static products, but evolving participants in the life of the garden. The layering of functions is another critical strategy for small outdoor spaces. The panel may be simultaneously art, garden, light source, and storage. A panel with integrated hooks can support bicycles, garden tools, or hanging chairs, transforming a wall into a lifestyle device. Fold-down tables integrated into panels create dining space where no ground could be spared. Modular planter systems shift with the seasons, allowing customization and adaptability. The genius of such design is not in extravagance, but in compression, the ability to compress many uses into one elegant vertical plane. And yet, even as functionality deepens, the aesthetic must remain central. The balance between practicality and beauty is what makes architecture enduring. A purely functional panel is storage, nothing more. A purely decorative panel is ornament, soon forgotten. But a panel that combines purpose with poetics becomes timeless. It enriches the daily life of its user, providing utility while elevating mood. It is touched in the morning when herbs are harvested, admired in the evening when lights glow, and appreciated in passing as its patterns shift across the ground. For the architect, the challenge is not in installing a panel, but in curating an experience. Every cutout, every grain of wood, every reflection of light is a brushstroke in the painting of the garden. The compactness of the space forces precision. There is no room for excess, no tolerance for missteps. But it is precisely this limitation that produces innovation. Constraints sharpen vision, distill design to its essence, and reveal the power of simple, thoughtful gestures. Thus, the garden panel emerges not as a backdrop, but as protagonist. It is the element that organizes, anchors, and animates the space. It turns limitation into opportunity, privacy into intimacy, structure into art. In this orchestration of function and form, small outdoor areas cease to be compromises. They become sanctuaries designed with intention, artistry, and care. To complete the vision of modern outdoor design, we must step into the final layer of understanding, the transformation of garden panels from objects into experiences, from static elements into living architecture that speaks, evolves, and connects. In this concluding stage, let us imagine the outdoor space not as an accessory to the home, but as an extension of it, a crafted environment where panels are the language through which identity, intimacy, and imagination are expressed. The beauty of working within constraint is that it teaches us precision. A small balcony or compact courtyard leaves no space for excess. Every choice must be deliberate, every design decision justified. Here, garden panels become not only tools of spatial organization, but also carriers of meaning. A panel etched with geometric forms speaks of modernity and order, appealing to those who find calm in symmetry. A panel carved with organic patterns conveys harmony with nature, reminding the inhabitant that even in the city, the rhythms of leaves and branches endure. The choice of motif is not trivial. It is an articulation of the dweller's own story, a way of inscribing personality onto the environment. This personalization extends into how panels frame human activity. Imagine a family gathering on a small terrace, the panels behind them illuminated softly, turning a narrow urban balcony into an intimate dining room under the open sky. Or picture an individual practicing meditation in a courtyard enclosed by panels with flowing wave-like cutouts, the shifting light filtering through to create a tranquil dance of shadow and silence. In both scenarios, the panels are more than backdrop. They are participants in the ritual of daily life, shaping atmosphere, guiding emotion, deepening connection. The role of panels in creating layered privacy cannot be overstated. Urban living often compresses life into close proximity with others, and privacy becomes a luxury. Panels deliver this without walls that suffocate. A carefully designed screen allows intimacy while still maintaining a dialogue with the surroundings. It shields without isolating, filters without erasing. This delicate balance is architectural empathy, acknowledging the human need for both solitude and belonging. As we project forward into the future of design, technology integrates seamlessly with panel architecture. Smart materials, responsive lighting, and modular systems redefine how panels function. Imagine panels embedded with solar cells, generating energy during the day and powering integrated lighting at night. Consider adjustable panels that shift their opacity with the angle of the sun, providing shade in midday and opening to views at dusk. The panel ceases to be inert, it becomes intelligent, dynamic, alive. This is the evolution of architecture in the 21st century, not simply to build, but to create environments that respond, adapt, and sustain. Sustainability extends beyond materiality into long-term adaptability. A modular panel system allows spaces to evolve with changing lifestyles. What begins as a vertical herb garden may later transform into a sculptural light wall or a display system for art. Flexibility ensures longevity, and longevity reduces waste. In this way, design is not a fixed solution, but an ongoing conversation between inhabitant and space, a dialogue that changes as lives and needs change. Cultural resonance also plays a role in how panels are perceived. In some traditions, patterns drawn from heritage, floral arabesques, lattice screens, symbolic geometries, carry centuries of meaning. Incorporating these into modern panels bridges past and present, grounding futuristic materials and technologies in cultural continuity. A corten steel panel laser cut with traditional motifs becomes both a gesture toward history and a step into modernity. Thus, panels are not only architectural devices, but cultural mediators, weaving memory into modern space. We must also recognize the psychological dimension of panel design. Humans crave order and refuge in environments. A well-placed panel satisfies both instincts. It provides order through structure and rhythm while offering refuge through intimacy and enclosure. The mind, often restless in chaotic environments, finds rest in the measured cadence of repeated patterns, in the soft interplay of light and shadow. The small outdoor space, designed with intention, becomes not just a physical retreat, but a mental one. And in the end, the smallness of the space becomes its strength. A limited footprint forces us to attend to detail, to heighten every gesture, to treat every inch as sacred. The panel embodies this philosophy, one vertical surface, yet it holds within it privacy, art, greenery, light, storage, and atmosphere. It demonstrates that in architecture, impact is not measured by scale, but by clarity of vision. As architects, we understand that space is not simply an absence of matter, but a stage for life. The garden panel is our tool to sculpt this stage, to define it with precision, enrich it with texture, and animate it with light. It is at once frame and painting, structure and sculpture, utility and art. Through it, the smallest balcony can feel like a sanctuary, the narrowest courtyard like a gallery, the most modest backyard like a retreat. This is the essence of modern outdoor design in our time. To embrace limitation not as restriction but as opportunity, to transform vertical planes into canvases of creativity, to merge privacy, sustainability and artistry into seamless experience, and to remind us always that architecture is not about size but about intention. When we design with intention, every panel becomes a statement. It speaks of who we are, how we live, and what we value. It turns concrete into canvas, space into sanctuary, and daily life into art. And in the compact outdoor gardens of today's cities, these panels are not simply design choices. They are declarations of possibility, proof that even within constraint, beauty and meaning can flourish endlessly.